Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight for another episode of Boxing News Today. And we're going to start it off with a couple of results that came in a little bit late in the week, but nonetheless, here they are. From Plant City, Florida, super lightweight. There's a good one here. Batyazan Jukambayev, 21-1. Recovered from a first round knockdown to defeat Hugo Alberto Roldan, who's 22-1, by the way. Over 10 rounds by scores at 95, 94, 96, 93, and 97, 92. And that took place at the White Sands Event Center in Plant City, Florida, as I said at the start. In a clash of unbeaten light heavyweights, Kareem Hackett, who we've talked about often here on Talk and Fight, he's now 12-0 with 6 knockouts. He now outscored Clay Waterman 11-1 over 10 rounds by scores of 190, 99-9, and 190. Also on the card, super welterweight Ismael Villarreal 13-1 stopped John David Martinez 19-3, 16 knockouts in round 2 of a scheduled 8-rounder. The other thing that draws my attention is the return of Conor Benn, which is creating quite a stir in the boxing world. Although he was, shall we say, cleared of his drug-related findings, the British authorities are going to dispute that and try to stop him from fighting. Anyway, he is returning to the ring in Orlando, Florida, where many fighters go to have a fight if they can't find a fight elsewhere. So the commission down there is quite, shall we say, liberal. I know it's been over a year since he last fought. He's 21-0. He's got 14 knockouts, but he will officially resume his career when he faces Mexican super welterweight Rodolfo Sinolta Krushko. He's 32-3-3 with 24 knockouts, and that'll be taking place at becoming rather infamous for boxing, I must admit, taking place at the Caribe Royal Hotel and Resort in Orlando, Florida, as a co-main event as the Hitchens Zepeda fight. Anyway, just to recap, Ben was provisionally suspended back in April, effective as of March 15th, when his fight with Chris Eubank Jr. last October was postponed. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's created quite a stir, even among our friends over in the UK. With his return to the ring, expected on Saturday nights to less than 24 hours, I suppose, after the controversy around his failed drug test, but Carl Froch has said that he needs to take his punishment before the issue can be fully resolved in the eyes of the public. And this I would have to agree with 100%. It creates a bit of confusion for boxing fans when he's banned for substance abuse. It's someone gets reversed. It's someone gets disputed. It's in dispute right now, and yet he's back in the ring. So let's just recap, see what BoxingSocial.com has to say about this. Ben last fought in April 2022 before failing 2 doping tests in the lead-up to his ill-fated fight with Chris Eubank Jr. in October. He has maintained his innocence ever since, but was under provisional suspension in the UK for a brief period this year before it was lifted. The British Boxing Board of Control has since announced they will appeal that decision. With no current limitations on his activity, he will therefore be fighting in Florida on Saturday against, as I said earlier, Rodolfo Krushko at the super welterweight limit at 154 pounds. So Carl Froch had this as an explanation with respect to this ongoing saga. It's gone on for so long, I'm almost switched off. He's getting a lot of hate, for which I don't like to see, but he's got this dark cloud over him because he failed a drugs test. Great, he's moving on, but I want to know what's going on with him getting a British Boxing Board of Control license. He then outlined the issue of Ben opting to fight abroad rather than sorting out a license to fight in the UK. It's a shame, said Carl. It puts a gray area on why he's allowed to fight in Florida and not Britain. But I understand it's a technicality. But also, you have to hold professional boxing as a paramount importance in terms of how it looks to the armchair fan. And if it just looks like they're pulling one over on the boxing board or doing their own thing and sticking their middle finger up to the correct officials, it's bad, and it should not be happening. And he finally called for Benn and his team to address the board properly and take whatever punishment they are due before resuming Benn's career, keeping in mind he's on the Matchroom roster. When are they going to sit in front of the board and take their punishment for failed drug tests? Because my understanding is that what needs to happen before Conor Benn can move on with his professional career. Until then, they're just pissing in the wind. News has emerged during the interview that negotiations between Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. are underway. So it seems likely that will be the next fight for both should Benn win on the weekend. But where will that be held remains unclear. Promoter Eddie Hearn told Boxing Social that during the successful process of being licensed in America, the British board were consulted. All right. We spoke about Richard Hitchens. Let's give you a follow-up. He's ready to put on a show this weekend, says the headline. According to worldboxingnews.net, Richardson Hitchens is planning to dominate Jose Zepeda and send a message to the big guns at 140 pounds that he's coming for them when they clash at the Caribe Royale over in Florida. And that'll be shown live on DAZN, by the way. Might be interesting if they sell a lot of tickets because of this Conor Benn issue. Anyway, Hitchens, he's 16-0, 7 knockouts, is sitting pretty at number 5 in the WBO and number 7 IBF rankings. And with a victory on Saturday night, would see him rise to the cusp of world title fights with the WBC silver and WBO, NABO, and IBF North American super lightweight titles on the line. The Brooklyn ace shone in his last outing, flooring New Jersey's John Bausa en route to a shutout victory over 10 rounds at the Madison Square Garden. The 25-year-old knows continuing to win is vital to land those world title shots he craves, but he's not content with that. Hitchens believes that his rivals will stand up when he delivers dominant displays, and that starts with the bigger test of his career in former world challenger Zepeda. Indeed. Right, let's move along to a couple of other names we well know. David Benavidez faces Demetrius Andrade on November 24th for the WBC interim 168-pound title. This is according to Adam Baskin over BoxingNews24.com. WBC interim super middleweight champ David Benavidez will reportedly face the slick former two-time world champ Demetrius Andrade on November 24th on Showtime pay-per-view. Benavidez is essentially a big, light, heavyweight, cruiserweight size fighter who is barely able to melt down to 168 to use his size to beat the smaller opposition super middleweights. Recently, Benavidez's popularity has taken a hit due to him not accepting the challenge from the talented WBA regular super middleweight champion David Morrell Jr., who publicly called him out in a shaming process. In making weight for his last fight against Caleb Plant, Benavidez looked drained to the point where he was unrecognizable. Against Andrade, Benavidez will focus on using his mammoth-sized power and combination punching to overwhelm him. The southpaw Andrade is a much better boxer, and he'll be attempting to capitalize on Benavidez being less than full strength due to the ordeal he'll be undergoing to get down to 168. The winner of the Benavidez-Andrade fight will be the mandatory for the WBC 168-pound champ, Canelo Alvarez. It'll then be up to the World Boxing Council to order Canelo to defend against the winner. Wow. And that would be an excellent fight, by the way, if the outcome to determine a guaranteed opponent for Canelo is to defend against. But unfortunately, there's no certainty that Benavidez Andrade winner will get that opportunity. We'll have to wait and see. Finally, as we all know and are all expecting, Joe Joyce, let's see if he can survive another battle against Zhelei Zhang. This is the Joyce versus Zhang 2. It's a rematch, but Joe Joyce is full of confidence, and I would hope so, because if he loses, it could be end of his career. Speaking exclusively to the online sportsbook Bet Victor, maybe a UK brand. Anyway, Joe Joyce has lifted the lid on his preparations for his upcoming rematch with Zhelei Zhang. In the interview, the 37-year-old reflects on the first defeat of his career in their previous meeting, the mental challenge it provided, and how optimistic he's feeling ahead of the rematch, the WBO interim title, and a potential meeting with Alexander Usyk on the line. Joe Joyce said, I looked at it directly after the fight a couple of times. It's just, quite hard to watch. But I saw where my mistakes were. But then, during camp, we reviewed a couple more times with Salas. That's Ishmael Salas, the trainer. I went to Salas's house, reviewed the footage, and discussed the tactics going in there, what I need to change, and everything. So, I have a clear picture of what to do. With respect to his camp, he said, just more of the same, really, like more practice with the southpaw stance, correcting and nitpicking a lot of other mistakes that I made in the previous camp and corrected them for this camp. So, dealing with a southpaw, a lot of people spoke about this in respect to that last fight. He said, especially at that level, Zhang's a very hard-hitting southpaw, counter southpaw, and he's kind of had that warm-up fight fighting Filip Hrgovic, which was a similar style. He posed quite a big threat, and he damaged my eye, which caused the fight to stop. But I felt that I was still in there, and there's a lot of improvements I can make this time around. But then again, he's going to be improving too, without a doubt. Even with the eye issue, perhaps a bit slower start than you've liked when he's looking back and the number of punches that were throwing against him. Did he feel it was going to go longer? Yeah, for sure, he said. And I think that is what he and his team kind of went for. They managed to catch me. Well, they managed to catch me because I bit square on, like a few mistakes, stuff in the camp. So these are getting corrected. And I'm going to come in bigger, stronger, and better. And there you have it, boxing fans. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talk and Fight. Appreciate it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And we'll see you later on at 4 p.m. when I join Mike Gore at 4 for his show Knuckle Up. And then 7 p.m. when we join Tim Witherspoon and maybe Lou Eisen to be joining us again. Let's battle it out on the Friday night panel, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you later on. Thank you.